And you're just in time for Business Glide, your go-to point on matters public policy analysis, business, and economics at large. I'm Richard Mwenje, welcome on board. And today, yet again, I have your favorite local and low-budget economist, Professor Herman Manyora. Great to see you. Low budget.
And local.
You're the person I can afford on this show, at least. Otherwise, top-tier economist.
I'm the only man who can engage the World Bank and IMF and give them alternative thinking.
World Bank, IMF?
Yes, yes. I was talking to somebody yesterday and I told him one of the big mistakes we make as institutions is to use the finance thinking of the World Bank and the IMF and the modern finance models that, for example, tells you if you are an institution, if you have 2 billion, buy securities and stocks and do what? Or put in infrastructure bonds.
Market instruments.
You listen to such idiots and it goes for 25 or 10 years or 20, 15 years. At the end of the day, your 2 billion perhaps has given you 50 million. In the Kenyan economy, you can't invest in such a stupid way. There are better ways of investing, which gives you quick returns, secure, risk-free, quick returns.
So you have the range to deliver bigger thinking to IMF, World Bank, and such tier institutions.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Probably I was underrating you. Next time on the show.
And even they have sat with me, for your information.
Manyora?
They travel all the way from where they are to come and sit with me.
But why are you here to live in Karen or Lavington?
What for? Brain is not equal to those things you think. You can have a brain, but yeah.
That of the way, Prof. I want us to talk about this row between KOTU, umbrella union and workers' umbrella body, Central Organization of Trade Union, and Charles Hinga, PS for Housing. Now, Atwoli, SG for KOTU dismisses claims by Charles Hinga that they, as a body, were involved in the crafting of the new affordable housing regulations, which actually permits the levy to be used for construction of other support infrastructure, talk of schools, talks of hospitals, police posts. Atwoli argues that this is an attempt to divert money from Kenyans from just building their houses to other fronts, which have already been catered for in the national budget. What do you make of this difference between Hinga and Atwoli in the first place?
First of all, it is not Atwoli or KOTU or Hinga. It is just an affront on common sense.
How so?
And logic. If the law says the money which workers and the employers contribute by way of housing levy will be used to construct houses, but then proceeds to say houses and other amenities.
Yeah.
We talk about markets, we talk about schools, talk about police stations, hospitals.
Support infrastructure.
Now, that cannot amount to you saying that I will put up 3,000 houses somewhere in Langata and then build the market for those houses somewhere in Vihiga. That's simple logic. The thinking is this. If you put up 3,000 units in one place,
True.
an average of 4 people per family, how many people do you have? 12,000. It's only natural you need a school. It's only natural a market will be required. Police stations will be required. A police station also may be required.
Hospitals and such.
It's only natural. And that's what the law was saying.
Waste management, sewer lines.
It's a no-brainer. It's obvious. But now, to stand logic on it said, which is what government is saying, which is what this legislation is talking about, that now you'll take part of that money which Kenyans are being robbed of by way of deductions, you now give to MPs and other such a busybodies to go and construct markets in their constituencies. Oh God, it can only happen in Kenya. Only Kenya, nowhere else. Even things that are so obvious like this. It was meant you'll do those things for that estate. It was not meant that you'll hive off some money from the housing kit and give MPs to go and build things across the country that are not related and paired to a particular housing estate. You know what?
True, tell me.
CDF has been used by government to buy MPs to be on their side. From the time it was challenged in court and they came up with it, they removed the word CDF, came up with NGCDF, or National Government,
Constituency
NGCDF.
Development Fund.
From the time they said the MP has been dislinked, there's a CDF committee with a fund manager.
Yeah.
Such a stupid thinking. The courts have rejected up to the Supreme Court and said what is obvious to everybody, that CDF is unconstitutional.
Right.
You could see the president asking for advice from the AG,
Yeah.
and the advice coming fast and swift and furious, that yes, despite what the courts had said, the MPs could have CDF. Sasa wamefika mwisho. Looks like they have been surrounded. There will be no CDF. But why was government giving CDF to MPs when the courts from down to the Supreme Court have ruled that it's unconstitutional? Your guess is as good as mine. Government inataka kushika hawa watu so that they are beholden to the government.
Living at the
When the
mercy.
government sneezes, they catch a cold. When government brings out outrageous legislation, like the finance bill, they all support. Because if they don't, government will touch CDF. Now that CDF has obviously reached its end, they have tried another trick. The courts have become smarter than them. It may not work. So they're having a contingency, plan B, to get money from, paid by poor workers. Poor workers. Money we deduct from poor workers. They want to get a big chunk of that money and now hand the same to MPs. So they can put up police stations,
Hospital,
markets.
sewer lines.
Only in Kenya. So it's not about Hinga or Atwoli or Kotu. It's just common sense. That you put up an estate, it may become necessary to have a police station there.
True.
Or a market. Of course, not always. If you are putting up 700 units amidst other estates and there are enough amenities there, you may not need a market. You may not need a police station. Maybe you may not even need a school. Okay? But when it will be required that this estate, given where it has been constructed and the environment in which it is, it will be necessary to have a police station. Okay? It will be necessary to have a market. The law provides that you do that from the same fund. Now some interpretation creating these regulations is that you can throw them. The president was thinking, we have already done 260. Or they are being done. Come on.
Prof,
How are you treating the people of Kenya?
underrating
So
public
it's not about
intelligence.
Atwoli, it's not about Kotu, it's
Hinga.
not about Hinga. No. It's simple common sense. And an affront on the same. And taking Kenyans for fools. As if it's not enough to forcefully deduct Kenyans this levy without a clear idea of how they will benefit.
You still don't
As
support
if
the
that's
levy?
not enough, now you are saying you can still take the money and give it to gluttonous MPs. What do they think Kenyans are?
If the government continues to underrate this public intelligence that you're talking about,
Yes.
what awaits the government in the fullness of time?
People just get annoyed and do bad things.
The rage is bottling by the day?
Yeah, people just do bad things. And we shall all begin to regret why we allow such a stupid things to take place.
Do you still believe, Prof, that we have the wiggle room as a country and as an economy to deliver on affordable housing without really going to the pay of the Kenyan worker in the first
You
place?
don't need to. You don't need. And this is just a clever trick for people to eat money from workers.
Budgeted corruption?
Let me ask you, Richard. You know, maybe I went to school many years ago, and I'm becoming too old.
Could be.
What does government need money for to build houses? I am trying to think. I can't think. Help me. And is government the one building?
Private players.
So if somebody is doing their private business, how does the government get money and give them? How do you give somebody money to do their private business? What the government does, if government cannot put up houses, government can put up houses.
It can.
Do you know, these people think we are very stupid. Eh? Do you know if you had a combined force, NYS, the military, our universities, Ministry of Housing, and so on, all those people come together, they will need very little money to construct 1 million houses in Nairobi and its environs.
We have the capacity?
Within 3-4 years. They have the capacity. Pesa mingi inaenda kwa ukora, experts, sijui nini, engineer, architectural this, these quantities this, sijui ukora, percentage of this, ile hesabu wanapiga hiyo, ukora hapa. We need
cutting edge technology.
Hiyo ukora hii, nini. The universities, with the National Youth Service, with the military, with the relevant ministries, and 1 or 2 other players, with very little financial support, can construct 1 million houses in Nairobi within 3, 4, 5 years. They have the capacity. Another way, which is the best way,
tell me,
is for government to identify land, come up with plans, and invite private players. I've given examples. Kama hii forest mnaiba pole tu mpaka watu wameanza kujenga mahoteli ndani pole. Within a few years it will be gone. So walichukua pale on the southern pipers, you can see it. Yeah. So the remaining bit, this is a small thing, you see it from outside. Inside wamekata meat. So from here Ololua all the way to Ngong. Just a good example.
Sure.
These are maybe some hundreds of acres. You draw plans to have high-rise buildings of maybe Gorofa 15 20 and so on and so forth. Then you say, individuals and groups of individuals, companies, consortiums, what have you, with the capacity, demonstrate the capacity to build under the following terms. Kuja, shamba ndio hiyo ya bure. Unataka kujenga moja, inabeba watu 500, this is yours. What government has done, it has provided the services, roads, sewage, electricity, but you will pay. When the tenants begin paying you, we will recover the money we put in those amenities. That's the best way. Why do I say it's the best? Because land is available in Nairobi. There are so many empty spaces in Nairobi and places around Nairobi, Ngong, Kitengela, very many empty. You may not know. There are very many there, empty. Give them to people to develop. But what the government is using is a little strange to me. That's why now there are these conflicts. Because this money was for people to steal and play around with.
Is there an
and that playing around with workers' money is what is being demonstrated by way of these regulations. That now you'll get chunks of that money, which people have paid with their blood and sweat. You get a few hundreds of millions, give an MP 150 million, 200 million, and a jenga masoko, and we know what that means. It is immoral. It is criminal. It is immoral. It's ungodly.
Criminal, immoral, ungodly.
And I don't care who is supporting it, whether they are Hinga. I don't care who is opposing it, whether it is Kotu, whether it's Atoli. The only thing I'm saying, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
I'm curious to understand, Prof. Is there an opportunity for us as a country to enter into public-private partnerships, PPPs, which are transparent, knowing too well that we're coming from a past of opaque PPPs?
They're always abused. I will not support PPPs anywhere for anything. Because government is always holding the short end of the stick.
Even on food security matters, highly contentious issues?
We don't need anything. We need just to do things ourselves as government. Either we are doing it as government or we facilitate the private sector to do it. We create the environment. Like I've given you a clear example.
Sure.
Hii shamba inalala hapa hii. Government can even, between this Kimuka Ngong side all the way to Maimayu, that space there. Kakuzi, planting trees. Upper Nairobi.
Avocado and
Thousands of acres, I think. Avocado.
for export market.
It's you what?
Yeah.
They can be given alternative land. And we say our people cannot be staying in Kiandutu. Kiandutu, for your information, a place of jiggers.
Yeah.
When people are growing pineapples.
Relocate them to Narok.
Locate them somewhere else where there's ample arable land and even irrigation. And they leave the people of Nairobi to be given decent housing. I don't know whether you get me. There is no will. Nobody in the government looks at people and sees them as human beings. They are not human. If they were human beings, they would not stay in Kibra.
62 years later after independence?
Yeah, they would not. We will not be the first people in the world to provide houses for people. We will not be the first people. I listened to the president, the new president of Botswana, a country of 2.5 million people. He says in 2 years, he's providing the people of Namibia, or Botswana, which 100,000 houses. Do your math. What is the equivalent of that?
What?
That's times 20 in 2 years, because a population of 2.5 is providing 200,000 houses in 2 years. A population of 25,000 will provide 1 million houses.
True.
And therefore, we should provide 2 million houses in 2 years. The economy, the size of our economy, the size of our population, this country should be thinking of 2 million houses for the people of Nairobi in the next 5 years. And it's possible, it can be done. But not when everybody is scheming how to steal, how to get political capital using people's blood and sweat. If the people in leadership are determined to remove the shame of Kenyans living like dogs in the 21st century, in the year 2025, it can be done. It can be done. It will be done by men and women with the capacity to think.
And men with a human face.
Yeah. But you see, hii yote ni ukora. Chukua pesa fulani mega kidogo yupatia MP so that you buy political favor.
So you're not proud.
And be able to go to places and say, I'll put up a market for you. Yeah. I'll put up that police station.
Modern market for that case.
I'll put up this hospital. Without caring that this money is people's blood and sweat.
Prof, wewe ni Mswahili na unasema safari ya 1000 inaanza na hatua ya kwanza, hatua moja.
Kabisa.
So when you see the president launching and handing over 1080 units of affordable housing to people of Mukuru kwa Jenga, do you think that journey of 1,000 miles we're going to get there soon enough?
I laugh. I sympathize. I'm sad. It's a tragedy. That's the highest we can think. I was on some radio show yesterday with some government people. I said, is it that we can't think? Because if you are doing 1,000 units and another 2,000 and another 3, you can even say 13 like my friend Gabriel was saying.
Yeah.
Will you ever house the people of Nairobi? And you stand and say you want to eradicate slums in Nairobi?
Making Mukuru the London of Africa.
Everybody listening to you is just laughing. I did an interview with some international media house. And because I was very critical, before the camera came in, that
prepping session.
Yeah. That white girl told Manyora, now that you have said it, let me say, what's wrong with you Africans?
That's what she said?
She told me, what's wrong with you people?
It's about the rest now.
Yeah. She told me, you are these stupid as people. At that time, what was happening, the money for feasibility studies that people were looking for Kibra.
Yeah.
Money for feasibility studies.
For slum upgrade or something.
forcing Musila. I think what Musila was talking about was somebody. Yes, Musila.
David Musila.
Yeah. He said, if you give me that money, I will flood Ukambani with water.
The whole of Ukambani.
Yeah, with water. For feasibility studies. Huyu msichana mdogo, a small girl like this one. Now that I can see you, how you feel and how you think, what's wrong with you Africans? Are you really normal people?
I feel offended by that.
Why do you such a stupid things? So Kibaki and Raila were putting up, I don't know how many, 800 houses or 1,000. And the intention was, just like Ruto is saying, to make sure you upgrade the slum of Kibra.
Yeah.
People listening to you, they might be tempted to think there's something wrong with an African. How can you put up 1,000 houses and your journey is to eradicate slums? I mean, honestly to God.
Within your first time in
Could there be a difference between you and a monkey, honest, in terms of capacity to think?
Maybe the lipstick alone. Just that.
I mean, how? Just tell me, make me understand. How by putting up 5,000 units in Nairobi in a year, you can give the people of Nairobi, whose population is growing at an alarming pace. I always knew Nairobi to be a city of 1 million.
Yeah.
Today, conservative estimates place Nairobi's population at around 5 million. There are many countries in the world that don't have even that population. Even the famed Finland and these successful countries in Europe, they are about 4 million.
With the highest happiness index.
Yes. A city like that, and you are producing 10,000 houses, 2,000 per year, and you want us to clap for you, and you are talking of slum eradication. Do you really have a brain in your head? It is supposed to be a mega project. It has been done. I was giving an example yesterday. Angola did it. At Argo, 250,000 houses, I think. Egypt has put up a brand new city, complete with houses, in the past few years. I don't know what that city is called, I'm forgetting.
Without sinking the nation into debt?
No. We can do 1 million houses in Nairobi in 3-4 years.
Come on, bro.
Yes.
Are you realistic?
Why not? 2 million. Botswana is a small country of 2 million, 2.5 million people. They are doing 200,000 in 2 years. Angola did it. Other countries have done it. But those behind these projects have only one intention: to develop the country, to give decent housing to people, decent houses, to push the country to the next level, to improve the lives of the citizens of that country, to increase what you are calling happiness index. Kiraito Murungu should be here.
Chief Happiness Officer.
But our people, the intention is how to steal through those projects. So they have no intention in their mind whatsoever that we want to build houses for people. No, nobody has any intention that we want to put up houses for people. It's a project through which people will line their pockets. Because it can be done. The government doesn't need to send even 1 shilling. And if government must do, it can do through the NYS, the universities, and the military.
And relevant ministries.
And relevant ministries. And military experts, engineers listening to me will say Manyora has a point. Tupewe hii kazi. Military ilipewa kujenga ile where you took your graduation. Uligraduatea wapi?
Yeah.
Inaitwa nini?
The University of Nairobi?
Where the grounds, what are they called?
Chancellor's Court.
Chancellor's Court. It was done by the military. Moi was shocked at the amount of money we spent. He could not believe it.
And it's still standing tall to this day.
The president was shocked. Ati, ilipesa gapi? And it was done quickly, fast, minimal cost. Moi alishangaa sema mambo gani jamani? What is all this? Crooks are just fleecing us. So if you give the military with their training and discipline, they are supported by the NYS and our universities for expertise. The military also has expertise, but they are beefed by universities, university expertise. Then the relevant ministries.
Research and development.
Yes, and then other people, players will come in, including donors. Nairobi will have decent housing so that when you are landing in Nairobi during the day or the night, you can see
The sky.
human habitation where human beings are supposed to be living.
In dignity.
Because when you land in Nairobi, you hear it's a city of 5 million people, 4 million people, but you don't see the houses.
Darkness.
When you're up there, you don't see the houses. So you wonder, where is this population of 4 million in Nairobi? Where do they stay? Hinga.
It's a tragedy.
Hinga. Tell me, where do the 4 million, 5 million Kenyans in Nairobi stay? When you are landing from South Africa, Hinga. Do you see the houses from the skies? Hinga. 50 million Kenyans with about 30,000 only on mortgage.
Low uptake of mortgage in this country.
What are we talking about? So you can improve a situation like that by putting up some few miserable houses here and there in the country. You cannot. You need big thinking.
Otherwise, we are living.
You need and say, okay, like we are going to the countryside. If you have a piece of land, you don't have a house, government is coming in. You are a teacher, we can make arrangements with you with Teacher Service Commission. 5,000 shillings per month, we are putting up a house for you. We'll recover this. You still have 20 years of service. In the next 15 years, taking 5,000 from your salary, we'll have put up a house for you. You're a businessman. Do you have 200,000 shillings cash? Later, we start putting up a house for you where you stay under this arrangement. Within 10 years, houses will be dotted all over the country.
Big thinking.
Big thinking. Not this primitive, small brains of wanting to enrich yourself.
Well, there you have it from Professor Herman Manyora discussing a raft of issues, but prime of it being the affordable housing agenda being spearheaded by President Ruto's administration. Time now for a fan of the week. It is none other than this housing contractor, John Kuria from Kitale.
John Kuria, housing contraction.
Yeah.
I think you'll agree with me what I'm saying. That once you give people land, they will not ask you for anything else. But thank you for being part of the family.
Right, up next on your screen is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day. Up next are editions by Jadil Kabiro and Evan Sokini.